Everybody, my name is Donna and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern time zone as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue listening to us on the radio. We're with the biggest country station in South Carolina. They're WZLA. You can find them 92.9 on the dial. So go ahead and keep watching them as well. And I want to thank all the sponsors as well. We've added a lot of new sponsors. We'll be talking about them in the upcoming couple of days, and we definitely appreciate them. The confidence they've put in us for taking care of their business needs is just overwhelming. So I definitely appreciate that. Also, thank you so much for sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com, Donna@donnasedge.com. You always know when to send them in just the nick of time. It means so much to me. Thank you so much for doing that. I've got Barry and Kathi Holcomb with me right now. They are friends to the show. They're on the show at least once a month, at least. And we definitely appreciate you guys being with us. Valentine's Day is coming up. And it's going to be here right before we know it. And now Phil and I always make a big deal out of Valentine's Day. And so it's to keep the marriage together. Now, you guys are all into helping married couples. So let's talk about that.
We do. Unfortunately, we probably are not the romantics in that sense as far as Valentine's Day and, even anniversaries and things. But we've been blessed. This July, we'll have been married 38 years. Kind of a whirlwind romance and engagement back in, 1987 to 1988. We got married July 30, 1988, and moved 700 miles from home. So we kind of had to raise each other.
That was quite a jump there. We've been trying to work with couples for a long time to strengthen marriages. And I think one of the things that couples fall into the trap of believing is that, we've got a good marriage. It doesn't need any work. It just, we're okay with each other. Things are fine just the way they are. And a very true adage that I've heard for years, my pastor has always said this, that every marriage takes work. It doesn't matter how long you've been married. It doesn't matter how good your marriage is. It can always be better. And, being in the pastorate now for almost 35 years, unfortunately, we've seen too many couples, marriages just disintegrate. Divorce is a plague in the church. And so, one of our desires is to help couples strengthen their marriage. And one of the things we do at Calvary Baptist, we've been here now almost 7 years. So we're in the big city of Belmont, Mississippi, right here in Northeast Mississippi, the great frozen white South right now. But we've, it's been a cold week here. I think it's 21 degrees in my backyard right now with the little thermometer out there. But we've done a marriage retreat, tried to do one annually. I think we've kind of missed last year. We did one in August of 24 as I was recovering from the hip revision surgeries. We didn't do anything last year, kind of got out of kilter there, but we try to do something in February. And so we've got a marriage retreat coming up. February 13th, that's a Friday evening, and then the Saturday morning, the 14th. And I don't know, Donna, if any of your viewers are in the North Mississippi area, North Alabama, Southern Middle Tennessee. We'd be happy for people to check this out, and they're welcome to attend. It's going to be at Crow's Neck Christian Retreat. So it's Fellowship Christian Retreat at Crow's Neck is what it is. It's a very nice retreat center. We're not spending an overnight there. It's close enough to home for us to drive. But if people want to check that out, they can go to the Calvary Baptist Church Facebook page, and there is a QR code where they can sign up for that. But we're trying to take couples just through a Friday night and Saturday morning of teaching. Our guests are going to be Kaylee and Mandy Ferris from Russellville, Alabama. We've known them for years and years. Served under Kaylee as he was our pastor for a while, and served with him there at Divine Baptist Church in Russellville. I'm not quite sure the focus they're going to put on this, but it is just crucial, I think, for couples to come away every now and then to put an emphasis on their marriage and make sure it doesn't fall apart. We've seen, unfortunately, in the past year, just in our church, we've had 2 families that have fallen apart through divorce.
Well, what happens? Because, I mean, you'll see a young married couple, they're just all full of dreams, they're smiling, they're giggling, and sometimes just within a couple of years, you'll just see something has happened. What's the number one indicator that there's an issue?
I think expectations of what marriage is. I think both men and women do this, but that the expectation is that your spouse will be something to you that they can't be, that they're going to make you happy. They're going to meet all your needs. Life's going to be, going to look like this because you're married. And we have found in our relationship, and I'm sure others would say the same, that marriage is one of the hardest relationships you'll ever have because, you see the real you in there. They see the real you. And I think it's, what Christ did for us while we were yet sinners, he died for us. So he gives us grace and love. We too, in a marriage relationship, learn to do that in the midst of what can be very difficult times. At times, I'm not saying, egregious acts, things like adultery and abuse. I mean, once again, we kind of have to throw those in there because we are not saying that, just get over it, kind of thing. But just in the norm of a relationship, you're going to have to learn how to give grace. You're going to learn how to forgive. You're going to have to learn how to let your love cover a multitude of sins. And it really is a picture of Christ in the church. So I think our expectation and our view of marriage is probably more of a worldly view than it is of a biblical view. And I think that's maybe foundationally where people begin to struggle because of wrong expectations.
Absolutely. Another situation that I have seen happening too is where, a marriage disrupts because of another person. And then that couple gets together and you'll see them post on Facebook, God put us together. And I have to wonder how do you figure that? I mean, you broke up a marriage, God put you together. Wow.
Yeah, and sadly, for one of the families in our church this past year, that was the circumstance. And then, yes, the social media content that you see from one party is all, peaches and cream. Everything's coming up roses now. A quick engagement to the other party, and you can see through it. And they're trying desperately to put up a front that looks great and that provides a basis for leaving the spouse. And, I guess they can put out all kinds of reasons, but there's this facade. And, Kathi was talking about the expectations that we have. I mean, I think that what happens sometimes is unmet expectations. So she fails to meet my expectations. Right. I fail to meet her expectations. I mean, let's be honest. We all go into marriage thinking there are certain realities that are going to come to pass. And so, the unmet expectations might be financial. They might be have to do with the household. I mean, she doesn't cook or clean, or he doesn't cook or clean. Unmet sexual needs within the marriage, expectations in that regard that, might be fulfilled. And all of the issues, I mean, you name it. I mean, we could just sit here and make a laundry list of issues. But they all take work, and good marriages just take a lifetime to develop into good marriages. It does not happen overnight. love is wonderful, but love doesn't make a theology of marriage in and of itself. So Paul really addresses that in Ephesians 5. He tells the church in Ephesus, for one thing, to make sure you're walking wisely. And that means in your marriage as well. So in Ephesians, I think it's the 5th chapter, to be wise, careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise. And so I would just at that point say to couples, you would be wise to work hard on every single aspect of your marriage. It's not just one aspect that causes it to break down. It might be several things. And then Paul says in Ephesians 5:21 to be subject to one another in fear of the Lord. So we get hung up on the issue of, well, the wife she's supposed to subject herself to my leadership. And that's true. I mean, and the huge responsibility there is borne by men, because we have a great responsibility to provide and care for and to make sure things are taken care of. I mean, for instance, with this storm that's been coming, the ice storm, it was not Kathy's job to prepare for that. It wasn't her job to make sure we had firewood in the garage and we had propane in the 20-pound tanks and we had a heater in case we lost power. I've always taken care of those things. I have a great deal of responsibility. But so, yes, she's to subject herself to me, but I'm called to love her the way Christ loves the church, which was a self-sacrificial love. And none of those things come naturally to us because we have a sinful nature and we just want it the way we want it. So, I've got selfish needs within our marriage. Kathy could tell you what those are. She knows all of them. I could look at her and say, well, here are her selfish, expectations of our marriage. And so we've just found that it's helpful for couples to constantly work on this, but to every now and then come together with other couples, in this marriage retreat setting and give it some attention.
I think so too. Let's go into a commercial break. And I can't believe half the show's already up, but we'll go into a break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. So everybody hang in there with me. Great stuff here.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television, radio, and podcast talk show, and social media, too, if you want to go that way. I don't want you to get in trouble by watching me at work, okay? This is 2 o'clock p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, so you can always go back in. If you want to see some of the past shows with Barry and Kathi Holcomb, you can do that. All you got to do is type in my name, Donna Thiesel, and then type their names in, Donna and Kathi Holcomb. You'll be able to pull every single one of those videos up. So again, there's other ways you can find us as well. Barry and Kathi, I wanted to ask you a question. Okay, so both my grandparents, both sets had successful marriages. I think they're successful, judging them against my parents' unsuccessful marriage. One of my grandsets had been married 67 years when my granddad passed away. I consider that a successful marriage. Now, was it perfect in every single way? No, it wasn't, but they knew how to give and take. Also, my other grandparents had been married a really long time. My grandmother passed away of a stroke. And I just watched both sets wither away and die when the other one passed away. They missed them so much. But I wanted to say this. It was not that all of them have some kind of selfish need. Of course they did. They were human beings. But they were told you make it work. You work on this, just like you've been saying. You work on the marriage because they did not have a marriage. They did not get married for it to be unsuccessful. They worked on it a lot. My granddad used to say, now sometimes your grandmother can get on her high horse. What he would do is count 100 backward before he said anything. And he would say, sometimes it's best not to blurt out that first thing you're thinking when you're mad. Don't do that. Count 100 backwards. What do you guys say about that?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that you just have to get over and that don't bear a conversation. I mean, there are little things that are just going to drive each partner crazy. You don't have to air everything out. But then if it's something that you just can't go without speaking about, then you have to bring it up. But every couple is going to have those things. My granddaddy Holcomb always said that Lorraine and I never had a crossword. Well, she had plenty of crosswords with him. I don't know if he ever spoke any back. I don't know what the situation was, but they did. They argued. They had to have. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a perfect marriage by any stretch. And I remember my granddaddy Bird. Granddaddy could be as tenderhearted as anybody in the world, but then he could also be as cross and ornery as anybody else I'd ever seen in my life too. And I saw him, bite my Nanny Bird's head off over and over, just in his Elmer Bird kind of way. Mm-hmm. But you're right. They intended to make it work. And when I remember when my Nanny Bird died, she was 78. I always thought that Granddaddy would be independent and be just fine. Well, he didn't even want to live not one day by himself. He moved in with my Aunt Glenda, his youngest daughter. So I was very surprised about that. But it was devastating for him. So yeah, you see a lot of couples that wither away, and then a lot of couples that don't care enough to work on it when times get hard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Another thing I wanted to mention too is and this has been decades in the making, and it's the me generation. It's all about me. You're not fulfilling my needs, and they're not even thinking about fulfilling the needs of the spouse. I mean, there's a lot of give and take there. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty rough to live with. I'm sure I was the eldest. I was the oldest kid. My son's the middle child. So sometimes that can bring in some factors, but we're still growing with it. We've been married 33 years and we still work on it because I don't want a failure and I love him and he loves me, but we can't let it stop with these little things that can, because of your different personality traits.
Yeah, I think too, the me generation. So, the me generation, when you think about it, I think in a book I'm reading by Charles Stanley, he calls it the big I, where, I am the focus of my attention and what I want and how things affect me. I do think that is kind of a standard in this me generation. And I think as believers, there is a difference in how we should look at others, to consider others as more important than ourselves. And that would include our spouse. And I'm going to tell you, that's really hard to do. It's hard to do in the most godly of homes, where you consider the other person as more important than yourself. And that didn't mean you become a doormat or you become, you just don't do anything you desire, because as I'm doing that, he's doing that. He should be considering me as more important than himself. And so I think one of the things that I have learned just in our marriage is that a lot of times when I'm offended, and if we're honest, that's really what it is. We take up an offense. When I'm offended by him, then a lot of times that tells me more about me than it does about him. So if it's telling me more about me, then maybe I need to go to the Lord first and have him show me myself. If it's something to tell him, if it is something I need to talk to him about, then yes, I need to go and maybe count from 100 backwards. Take the time, to figure out what I need to say and speak in a way that would not produce, angst or bitterness or whatever. And I'm not saying we do that all the time. I mean, we're not perfect in that. But I do know it's important. And a marriage, like I said, I mean, it's a picture of Christ in the church, and so many out there don't even see it that way. Even believers that don't see it that way, that would, well, for example, let me just say this, in marriages that we have within our church and really other churches we've served and just people we know, a lot of times the wives are the ones that are pushing their husbands to be leaders spiritually. Would you come to church with me? Would you be in a Bible study? Would you be in a discipleship group? And there's such a struggle with them wanting that to happen in the lives of their husbands, to be the spiritual leaders in the home. But then you have the struggle on the other side that when they do become the spiritual leader in the home, the wife pushes against some of that. I don't want to go with what he's saying, or I don't want to do. So there's such a, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of a tension. Yeah, tension within that family. But we are seeing a lot of men who are not rising up. Some of the younger men to be leaders. And I'm not sure of the total reason for that. But I do know these women are really desiring that. That probably went in a different direction.
No, that's perfect. And she's right, Donna. I see it just like she does. I think of couples. I mean, I'm just thinking of some right now where the husband will just say, well, I don't feel like getting up and going to church this morning. And the wife will say, well, I'm going to go ahead and go and take the kids. And that'll go on for a while. But eventually the wife gets tired of having to provide the spiritual foundation, the spiritual leadership. So she will acquiesce. She'll just give in and say, okay, none of us will go. And so I would just have a message to men. If you say you're a Christian, then stand up and bear your responsibility, lead your family. Yes, be the one that says, all right, everybody, make sure you're up and we're going to get ready. We're going to worship today. We're going to be in church as a family. Lead your family to pray, lead your family to have devotions. Make sure that the spiritual direction of the family is something that you're responsible for. And too many men just drop the ball. They'd rather go hunting or fishing or golfing or all those man things that men do. It's not to say that women don't have, things that they focus on, but it does. It's the man's responsibility. He has the responsibility. I mean, just looking at what Paul said here, Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her, so that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she would be holy and blameless. And it says, so husbands also ought to love their wives as their own bodies. So men, we take care of all the things we want to do. We scratch our own itches. We take care of our own pleasures. We go where we want to go and do the things that we want to do. And then we neglect the things that really matter. And I promise you, filling your freezer up with deer meat doesn't matter. Having that bass that you can mount and hang on the wall, it doesn't matter. I mean, all well and good, lots of fun. I like those things just as much as anyone else. But when you neglect your family spiritually, there's just no defense for that.
We saw that too. In our family, my parents were not successful in the marriage, but there was something about the way they acted in church was totally different than the way they acted at home. And so, and that can be a stumbling block for the kids too. When the kids see, different parents at church rather than when they're at home. And then also there's so many other outside influences, such as in-laws, that can cause all kinds of issues, And so now Mother has moved in with us, but in this household, Phil is the head of the house. He is the head, not my mother, not me. So he is. So we had to make that, well, Jesus is number one, then there's Phil, and then we come in there somewhere. So we have to establish that almost daily with my mother, that she's not the head of the house. And so I think it's important that people tell their parents, because that can cause all kinds of issues when one spouse is not seeing the other spouse take up for them at all, when the in-laws may be causing some issues. Guys, let's talk about the retreat again. We got a minute before we have to call it a day. So where's the retreat going to be? And when?
Well, I mean, it's local. It's our church. It's at Fellowship Christian Retreat at Crow's Neck. It's in Northeast Mississippi. It's February 13th and 14th. And certainly we're focusing on Calvary Baptist Church couples. But anyone that wants to come and be a part of that, you'll have to arrange your housing. But it's $35 per person. That provides a sit-down dinner and a nice breakfast the next morning. Take care of your own child care. But we're looking forward to a nice retreat for our couples to help strengthen marriages. God knows they need it.
Sounds wonderful. Guys, thank you again so much for being on the show. And thank you all for watching. We definitely appreciate you doing that as well. And again, thank you to all of our sponsors, whether you've been with us for years or you just started. We appreciate it. Absolutely. Okay, we'll call it a day. Thank you again so much for watching.
Because of your overwhelming support, our $14.88 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing. Including my classic standard MyPillow is only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.